Have you ever gone through a challenging season? Maybe you're in the midst of a challenging season. Maybe you're coming out of a challenging season. Maybe you're blind to the fact that you're going into a challenging season. Either way, we're all at some level of those three, or we're all in the midst of one of those three. This episode, I want to talk to you guys about facing challenges head on. And I think it's pretty common knowledge, but a lot of times I make these videos, I'm writing these notes down and they're for me. Like a lot of times authors write books for themselves. A lot of times Twitter people are writing tweets for themselves. And so these are just as much for me. And I try to think about it as like, will these help somebody else? What things am I doing that are serving me and they're working, and what things aren't? What can I share with other people that seems to be working? And so this episode, I'm going to name something to the effect of facing challenges head on. And as an aside, this will be my last video for a while, specifically about startups and mindset and all that stuff. It's going to be a little bit of a trip. I'll get into that at the end, but the conventional videos and the way that I've been making them is probably going to change for a little bit, and certainly the my setup here or whatever is going to change. So number one, I love this quote. I forget who said it. I'm going to butcher it, and I have my notes over here, so I'm going to keep referencing these. But you can go around it. You can go under it. You can't go around it. You can't go under it. You can't go over it, so you might as well go through it. That's the bad news, I guess. I guess you could say that's the bad news. The good news is there's no such thing as a one-sided situation. What does that mean? That means that no matter what your situation is or what the challenges that you're going through, even if it's something horrendous, it could be a health thing, it could be some traumatic sexual thing. Like, it could be so many things, and you're gonna think I'm being rough on you or whatever. I'm not running for office, so I don't really care about being politically correct, but it's not just all bad. If you're going through a thing, like I'm in the midst of a situation that's really challenging for me, and it's not just all bad, it's wherever I place my mind. And I'm not talking about reframing it and suppressing it. It truly is like, if you came out of a situation where you were abused as a kid or whatever, you had a rough childhood, that particular part is not great, and I'm sorry that you went through that. But at the same time, now you're empowered to help other people that had a similar path as you. You know what it looks and sounds and feels like. You know what their triggers are, and you can go and serve those people. You know how to help those people. And so there is no one-sided situation. I living on the East Coast when 9/11 happened, I saw, it was horrendous. Like watching it happen as just a seventh grader. So many of the kids that I went to school with, their parents were lost in it. And I'm not saying, oh, that's so great, I'm so happy about that. It's terrible and it's tragic. But it's not just that. It is if that's all you focus on. It is if that's all you get out of it. But watching people come together and rebuild things, there was no discussion of race or socioeconomic backgrounds. It's like you had actors like Steve Buscemi helping out firefighters during 9/11 and all these other things that were like miraculous, of people coming together to help serve one another and dig out from this tragedy. So your life is what you focus on. And more tactically, I want to kind of start to segue into a different section with this one piece, which is something that I'm going through right now. So I'm in the midst of dealing with some stuff in my own life, and it's really challenging for me. And right now, one tactical example is I'm going to be leaving behind 2 dogs that I really care about, 2 little pets that I love, that I didn't always love. And it's hard because I find myself, I'm human too, and I'm self-sabotaging just like everybody else. I find myself thinking so much about the lack. Lack is whack. I think so much about the lack of them being in my life in this next chapter, or like what's going to happen if I'll ever see them again, all these things. And that, like, I have a couple moments left with them, and I've been thinking these thoughts for the last 72 hours, and today's my last day with them. And it's robbed me of the joy of spending time with them. It's taken me out of the present, put me so far into a future situation, which may or may not happen, that I'm not here enjoying the couple of moments that I have left with them. And so you don't want to rob yourself of joy by thinking about your lack and thinking about all the things, or just thinking about the one side of the coin that's terrible and challenging and bad. I used to play hide and seek with them, and last night we played our last game of hide and seek, and I tried to make the last couple days really fun. We went and I got toys for them. We're going to go on a long walk today. And there are so many moments that I've had with them that have been so special, and they're so goofy and funny. And instead of focusing on what I may or may not have in the future, which I don't even know what the future holds, I can look at the past and look at all the value that they've brought to my life to this point and just be so grateful for that. And that is like true. I can take that to the bank. I'm not actually reframing. I'm not suppressing. This is just the reality. And so a lot of times we put ourselves in these situations where we're just thinking about one side of a situation. I'm not saying be overly positive, but there are two sides to every situation. And so don't rob yourself of joy by living so far in a fictitious future, which may or may not happen, that you're not present. And so many of us go around like freaking zombies, living life in some state in the past, in the future, but not in the present. So don't rob yourself of joy. Your trauma can be your triumph. And I kind of touched on this already, whether you were abused as a child or whatever, you can use the thing that hurt you and caused you all this pain to be the thing that helps you triumph. It could be the thing that helps you help other people. It could be the thing that helps you, once you learn about how it works and how it haunted you, it no longer has power over you if you know how to turn it into a strength. And so your trauma can be your triumph. I touched on this already, but one of the last points that I have here is where you place your attention results in an emotion. So whatever I'm focusing on, if I'm focusing on the bad side of a thing, what's the emotion that comes along with that? I'm feeling the lack of my dogs. I'm feeling the lack. I'm not unsure of what's going to happen. Like all of these things, they create negative emotions. And I won't even get into the physiological downsides of like down-regulating gene expression and all the other things that come along with that and why it's really unhealthy for you. Like I won't go down that rabbit hole. But when you're creating these emotions in your body, those emotions result in your quality of life. Like ultimately, I love the way that Joe Dispenza describes it. He kind of talks about, it initially starts as a mood, then it becomes like a disposition, then it becomes a personality trait if you keep these things long enough. And so instead of placing your attention, just be aware of where you're placing your attention. Like just start there. But like attention, emotion, quality of life. If you're starting to place your attention only on the negative things, like I caught myself doing this with my dogs, I then shifted it and I'm like, well, that is not even true. It's not even the reality. Like I've had all these positive things. There's all these positive things about this situation. And like, hopefully I will be able to 10X my future and I'll be able to provide a home for, as my friend said, my really good friend, he's like, listen, I know this is hard for you right now, but you might be in a situation in the future where you increase your income and you increase your potential. And now you can rehome hundreds of dogs, you can help so many. And so where you're placing your attention is determining your quality of life and probably to a large extent determining your health and your personality. So don't catch yourself just focusing on the negative stuff and then try to refocus and be a little bit more realistic about what are the other sides that are here? What are the other things that exist to the other sides of this coin, if you will? So that is like my mindset thing for the day. I don't really talk a lot about my personality. Like I don't go into too much of my personal stuff. This channel is not for me. Like it is for me, but like I come on here and I overcome my fear of embarrassment and all the other things because I'm hoping that somebody on the other side of this at some point, like I'll be able to help them. But today because of the situation that I'm in, I mentioned in the beginning that these are going to change. The format of the video is probably going to change a little bit. Right now, I'm taking a road trip, so I'm driving across the country, and I am an EV enthusiast. I really like EVs, and so I will be taking a entry-level Tesla Model 3 rear-wheel drive, like the lowest, cheapest car that they have, across the country. And that's interesting because it's wintertime, and so wintertime range obviously is impacted. And so for people that are interested in that, I will try to document that trip. Because I'm actually interested myself to see if I can make it to all the stations since I don't have a lot of range, and since it's rear-wheel drive and it's winter, I might get stuck. So if you never see me again, that's probably why. But I wanted to just at least mention that, and then I will try to document and make content on that because I think it's interesting for people. I have an adapter that allows my vehicle to be used at Tesla stations as well as generic ones like EVgo, ChargePoint, and what's the last one? Electrify America, so DC fast charging adapter. which is pretty cool because that gives me some like emergency options if I get stuck. So if you're into EVs, I'm going to attempt to film that. It's a solo trip. It's 2,500 miles. Like, I don't know how much video I'm going to be able to get in by myself. It's certainly not going to be high quality. It'll probably be iPhone video, but that will be something I try to do. So with that, I hope today's like little thing helped you guys, and I will see you on the other side.